I'd been growing Bite The Ballot for 5 years before I was told I was a social entrepreneur. And before it was explained to me, I had no idea what it was. This idea of using business to make a social impact, to affect the lives of others, or communities, or even the planet. And when I heard it, I was like, yeah, that's me. And now 7 years in, I'm stressed. I've got barriers beyond belief, but I keep going. Because if someone had told me at the very beginning, I would be here now, just in 7 years, and have achieved what we've achieved, I'd lap it up. I'd bite their hand off. But the interesting thing about that is, there's a fine line between crazy and courage. And I tend to dance in the middle of it. Because every new idea, someone will tell you you're crazy, until you have that element of success. And with me, everybody around me was seeing my successes before I could. And I really had to learn to embody my achievements. And now it's part of my own mental health and well-being, just to take that time to reflect on what has been done, on what we've achieved. Because it makes you stronger, and it makes you ready for the next challenge, and the next challenge. And the successes have been amazing. I mean, we've grown Bite the Ballot from a lunchtime club in one school to a national movement. Many of our games and activities, they're in other parts of the world now. Our flagship campaign, the National Voter Registration Drive, NVRD, we rolled it out here in 2014. It was a week's worth of coordinated social action to reach those furthest away from politics, those that were always being brutalised by politics, and bring them in, get them to realise their power, get them to register to vote. We grew it from 54,000 registrations to 1.83 million in 3 years. And it was like, okay, this is cool. We're doing some good stuff. And as you just heard, even the man, President Obama, called me a change agent. And it was wonderful. And I thought, this is really great. But all I could think about was the next thing. Because when you're trying to make a social impact, when you're trying to reach those furthest away from politics, those most affected by it, all of these successes are wonderful, but it feels too little too late. Because the people I'm talking about, it might even be people like you. The people that don't have the courage to speak to each other when they have a different view and opinion. They look at each other and see difference rather than seeing power if they come together. They don't challenge what's being fed to them. They don't question the agenda behind it. These were the constant issues we were facing. And in many cases, we were trying to change things that shouldn't have existed in the first place. So it was time to start again. It was time to think prevention. It was time to think about starting with 4-year-olds, and it was time to do it through play. Now that sounds crazy, doesn't it? Getting 4-year-olds interested in politics through play. But the research around play is amazing. The academics that say that play is an integral part of a child's education and should be right the way through to 11. Yet, we live in a country today where play stops on the national curriculum at age 5 and assessment-based testing kicks in. But if you can learn essential skills through play and have fun, surely you're going to embody those skills and take them forward because you're going to remember it a lot more. I mean, when was the last time you had a little play? And not like that. Let's keep it clean. I saw your face. I saw your face. But seriously, if this idea of play could work, then I wanted to test it. I wanted to see if we could give children essential skills and values through play. Can we throw some of society's most pressing issues and ethical dilemmas at them in a play-based scenario and watch them come together as groups to solve them, explore solutions? And I've piloted the concept and it worked. And it was amazing. And it happened during the time of the referendum. We piloted in one school with around 60 kids. And the country was being swept with this sort of wave of fear and division. And I watched these children just explore in such a beautiful way the way to challenge each other, the way to question. And I just thought, if you could build upon that each year, what happens when these guys are 11 and they go into secondary school and they've got the courage to question things they don't agree with, but they do it with respect. They've got the ability to challenge their friends, to put forward their view, but also appreciate the views of others. And it got me a Lego fellowship. I'm one of 30 Lego fellows around the world. This idea of reimagined learning and play-based learning. And that's cool, man, because I played with Lego. My dad played with Lego. It's a brand that stood the test of time. And so if it's still here today, and many parents and caregivers, the chances are their children are playing with Lego. So I thought to myself, well, what other brands are there that have stood the test of time? How can you take a good idea, mix it with big resource? And big brands and organisations, they've got a lot of resource. And if you fuse the two, this idea of collective change making, collaborating for the common good, that really got me excited. And I do stand here before you to say straight that old cliche saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know, is true. But there is a twist. You have to make yourself someone worth knowing. And there's a guy on my board, really great guy. He's also on the board of Sesame Street. And he picks up the phone and he gets me in a meeting, and I fly over to New York and I meet the senior vice president of global social impact at Sesame Street. And she called me an inspiration. And I'm thinking, wow, you know, the deal's not done yet. I'm pushing it forward. And that's all I can do. You just got to keep pushing forward. You sell your vision, even if you don't know all the steps to get there. And believe it or not, it just keeps coming. And it suddenly comes true. And you take that moment to think, well, actually, last year I was trying to do that, and I couldn't see the answer. And now it's done. So this constant belief is there. And the reason to bring these brands together as well is this idea of challenging that concept of play stopping at age 5 on our national curriculum. Can we let our games out? Can we measure our impact? Can we collate our numbers? Can we gather the attribution to change we have made? And then can we come together collectively to advocate to change the education system? Because that sort of impact, well, that's a game changer. That means that children in the future will have these experiences without you needing to do it. And that is what it's all about. If you ever think about scale, you don't think about scaling your organisation, you think about scaling your impact. And with Lego and Sesame Street, the chances are you can get games into the family home. Because that's another root cause of poor community engagement, poor civic engagement. Not having that safe space in our family home to just question each other in a respectful way. So where are we now? We're about to kick off, we're about to roll it out. But the chances are, if this gets going, just imagine if this was present for all of us, for all of you. Imagine if you grew up knowing how to look beyond your differences, to come together if an issue or a cause demands you to. Imagine if you was ready to take your place at the table and no longer be on the menu. This isn't about a politics that is. This is about a politics that can be. And it all starts at play.